Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. And, I started thinking school's been back now for the better part of a month. And as students are settling in, parents come to a stark realization that guess what? Rubber hits the pavement. And all of a sudden, that education could come to a grinding halt. It's why, as parents, for us living with life with the spectrum, we often look to alternative schools to help bridge that gap, to help making learning a fun experience. And today, I've got Dr. Annie Jones, who runs Core Community School here in Georgia, in Woodstock, with me. Hi, Annie. How are you?
Good. Glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm so happy to hear about Core Community. Tell me a little bit about the history of your school.
Okay, we are in our 7th year of operation. We started actually as a summer camp, started by myself and my husband in the backyard of our cabin in Waleska. And then we moved into a building in Canton. This would have been back in, 2017, I guess. We got a building in Canton, Georgia, and then we outgrew that building within the first year and a half and moved to our home here in Woodstock, right off of Highway 92. And then about a year and a half ago, we purchased a 50-acre farm property off of Arnold Mill Road, which we use for environmental education and all kinds of community programming with our families.
I know that you call that the farm. Is that also where your school has summer camps?
We do offer summer camps. We've only had the farm for 2 summers now. So this past summer, we actually did not have camps just because we were working on improving the property and doing some of that stuff, and really just had some of our older kids helping out with projects. But typically, yes, we do have summer camps for all kinds of students and all ages. But we really use the property for environmental education, outdoor education, therapeutic stuff with the kids and their parents.
And explain what school for the whole family looks like to the Core Community School.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of our new slogan we're going with. It's really evolved over time, but what that looks like is we know and we have experienced over the last 7 years that the work we do inside our building and at the farm with these kids doesn't really mean anything if we're not, improving at the family level. So we do get a lot of feedback from our parents that they see a huge shift in their kids just because they're coming to school here. But there are often times where it takes a little more than that, and it takes getting, the parents really involved in making sure that, that they're okay, because a lot of these kids' journeys have inevitably impacted their siblings and their parents and the whole family dynamic. So we understand that the parents have a lot that they need to learn and that they need support with as well. So we do a lot of parent empowerment events at our school. We bring in speakers, we do workshops, we have parent-teacher book clubs, we do Mom's Night Out. We just like to really make sure our parents feel supported and, that they're learning along with their kids.
I'm here with Dr. Annie Jones, who runs and is the founder of Core Community School. Dr. Jones, can I call you Dr. Jones, or do you prefer Annie?
I like it.
Dr. Jones, it sounds so good. What's your approach? Because your school isn't just kids on the spectrum. There's a lot of neurodiversity at your school. So what is I know it's not a one size fits all. So what's your approach in that respect too?
Really, it boils down to, what's good for kids that struggle in any aspect is really just good teaching. That's our philosophy. So, everything we do is grounded in neuroscience and in research. And what's good, the fact is we're all humans, and humans learn. There are certain things that need to be right or need to be true about an environment or an approach for any human to learn. So, those of us not on the spectrum would benefit from the ways that we think about teaching kids on the spectrum. So we do have a lot of students at our school that are on the spectrum, and then we do have quite a few who are pretty neurotypical and who are also, like you said, we have a very neurodiverse population. So we've got kids that have a lot of different things going on. And our philosophy is really to get to know each individual kid and figure out what makes them tick and what makes them, what is it that they need to be at their best. But a lot of the foundational stuff that we do is stuff that's good for anybody, to be honest.
And I think when you take a tour of your school, what I noticed is there's a therapy dog named Bronco. He hangs out.
And Wazzy,
And then I also, two dogs. What's the other dog's name? I didn't see the dog.
Wazzy's the OG. He's Bronco's kind of in training under Wazzy, but Wazzy's kind of been so he might not have.
And I think every school should have a therapy dog, public or not. At the end of the day, though, I also like the fact that not only when you walk into school, you have a therapy dog that greets you, and that, just that emotional support that you can get from an animal. And then also the colors of the school, the smells of the school. I think you do a good job kind of incorporating all of that.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge part of what we do is the environmental piece. And we're serving kids that historically have not liked coming to school, so we want to make school as inviting and comfortable as we can. We don't have traditional desks. We let kids kind of figure out what kind of flexible seating works best for them. A lot of our students get comfortable here really quickly, and that's like our primary goal, is to make them want to be here with us. And a huge part of that, I have to say, is really the teachers. Like this whole thing is all about the adults that we have here working with these kids. They make the magic happen, and so we're really proud of our staff more than anything, I would say.
Let's talk about the teachers. I know that there was talk. You have some teachers that graduated Kennesaw State. You have some teachers that graduated Virginia State. You have a therapeutic approach to many different things. In fact, you have a mindness and yoga coach that comes in with the kids, and that's part of the learning process as well, because it's mind, body, and spirit in order to keep everything working. What else makes your teachers so wonderful?
So, we do it. We do yoga and mindfulness with the kids. Some kids do it every day. We rotate through so that every kid gets it at least once a week. We have 2 counselors on staff, and then we have about 15 to 16 teachers. I think we just try to find awesome humans. For the work that we do, we really care most about finding interesting, dynamic people that enjoy connecting with kids, because everything we do is about the connection and the relationship. I'd rather have somebody that's really gifted and dedicated to that than I would somebody who's like a superstar mathematician. I can teach anybody how to teach, but I can't teach everybody how to care about these kids. And that's what's most important to us. And it's what really,
right.
And we tell our teachers, more than anything, you're a mentor first. So we call them mentor teachers. And, we have a lot of kids here who really, I would say our teachers are probably, aside from their parents, probably the most important people in their lives and have really impacted them a lot. So
I can tell you, yes, my son comes home and talks about one particular teacher, and that's the teacher that I know at this point can just teach him anything.
Yeah.
He's like a sponge with this guy. But then the other teachers, he likes them, but, they're not his favorite. So when it comes to whatever he says, it's like, oh.
All day long. Yeah.
All day long. That's right. Dr. Annie Jones is the founder, and of course, she runs the Core Community School in Woodstock. Dr. Jones, when it comes to cost and tuition and all of those other things, that's a financial toll on families, obviously, who need to look for some alternative schooling. Can you walk me through the process about how Core takes care of families in that respect?
Yeah. So we are an SB 10 approved school, which I don't know if you've talked about that on your show before, but that's the special needs scholarship here in Georgia. So that means, if your child is receiving IEP, has an IEP and is receiving special education services in public school, that money can be applied to our tuition. So we have a good amount of our students who take advantage of that scholarship. Something cool from last year, the state legislature passed, SB 47, which was, expanding the special needs scholarship to more kids that have 504 plans, and really expanding the reach of that scholarship, which has been really awesome. And we actually, one of our first students was a big part in really trying to appeal to the legislators about why this needed to happen. And it was a really cool thing to see his story shared and all of that. So that's one scholarship opportunity. And then we also do participate in GASO, which is a Georgia Student Scholarship Organization, which is a tax credit program where
correct
people can donate, and then part of that goes towards tuition. And then we also try to be flexible with families the best we can, because we didn't start this school to be an elitist private school that, that's not our vibe. We want kids that need to be here to be able to be here. So.
And do you have plans to expand your school? Are you outgrowing the facility that you're in? I know many times a lot of alternative schools that have these great ways and different approaches to learning tend to fill up so quickly, so fast that they outgrow where they're at, and they're kind of forced to move or expand with satellite campuses or whatnot. Are any plans in the future for core?
Not any concrete plans. We never want to probably get to be more than 100 students, just to keep our way and our culture, and keep our classes as small as we'd like to keep them. And then, we do have thoughts of possibly moving everything to the farm one day, just because that would be kind of a magical campus for everything. But at this point, we're probably going to be staying where we're at for at least a few years.
So how can people get in touch with you, Dr. Annie?
We have a website, so thecoreschool.org. And then, you can find all of our information on there. If you'd like to have a tour, we take tours almost every day of the week except Friday at around 11 o'clock. So
do you let possible families come in for like a shadow day?
Yep. So we do that. Yeah, we do that. The typical process is that the parents would come in, we would meet the parents, learn about the family and about the child. And then if it sounds like a good fit, or good enough fit that we want to really get to know the kid a little better, we'll have the child come and shadow in the near future and then go from there.
I'm with Dr. Annie Jones, the founder of Core Community School, and you can always reach out at corecommunity.org. Dr. Annie, are there any after-school activities that your kids can take part of? Because I know so many times, in public schools, there's soccer, there's baseball, there's this, that, and that. But you know what? Our kids play to a different drum, not just on the spectrum, but with any neurodiverse child. You want to be able to play sports, maybe not necessarily competitively, but maybe. Do you have sports? What do you offer there?
Yeah, we do. We actually we offer sports for any students grades 8 through 12. And we are part of the AAC, which is the Atlanta Athletic Conference. So that is a really cool thing because it's a small conference made up of small private schools, and many of them are serving similar kids to ours. So kids that are, neurodiverse and maybe want to get the experience of being on a team, learning the foundational things about a sport, just getting that athletic experience. And it is competitive and fun at the same time. And, we have a lot of kids participate in athletics. We also have chess and Lego club and all kinds of things after school. We have a student government. We really let a lot of our club activities be driven by student interest. So most of those have come out of a student coming to me and saying, hey, can we start a Lego club? And I say, sure.
If Lyric was coming there, he'd want a Minecraft club.
You have lots of people that would want to join it. So yeah, we really just try to, offer as much as we can for our families and our students based on their interests and their passion.
Now, I noticed something else on your website. It says that you take field trips and try to get kids acclimated into their community. Can you give me some examples of the field trips that you go on weekly, and then also on the overnight trips? Where do you go for those?
Yeah. So we, community service is a huge part of our program. Every Friday, our students are spending time at the farm and also out doing service work. So some recent trips that we've taken so far this year, we've volunteered with Mostly Mutts, a dog rescue. They love that one.
I love
Camellia
that.
Place is an assisted living residence here in Woodstock where we go visit the elderly and get to know them. We're volunteering at a rabbit rescue next week. We help out with Goshen Valley Boys Ranch, Papa's Pantry, all kinds of local organizations. And that happens on Fridays. And then we also, like you mentioned, we have 2 campouts every year. We have a fall and a spring campout where we take our students, and they're pretty, for a lot of our kids, it's a big deal. It's the first time they've slept in a tent or the first time they've slept away from home. But yeah, so we like getting them out and about.
Do you typically take them to the farm in that instance?
We take them to the farm for the fall camping trip, but then we go somewhere else for the spring camping trip. We want the fall just get to know each other.
Wonderful.
And we make that one a little more comfortable. And then the spring we try to get them a little more outside their comfort zone.
If we were to ask the students at your school, what's the best part of going to core, what do you think that they'd say?
Well, it's funny because I was just looking through their conference presentations this morning where they put together a presentation for their parents in the fall. And that's a question to
Okay.
ask. And the most common answers were the teachers, the field trips, and we got a lot of environment answers. So a lot of kids are really aware that they feel different here than they probably have in other schools. So
I took a visit to the core community school and I walked in and I didn't feel like I was in a school as much as I felt like I was in a very chill atmosphere. I could see where maybe families with kids who have severe ADHD or anxiety or ADD, they would walk in there and they would immediately feel like, whoa, I'm okay here. Like I'm not so stressed. Where you go to a public school and there's the hustle and bustle and the rigor and the this and the that, and it wasn't like that. It was a completely different vibe at your school, and I really appreciated that because even I was able to go, all right, just take a breath, step back, it's okay. And I think with kids on different neurodiversities and all, walk in there feeling welcome like that too then, right?
yeah, that's our goal. I mean, that's the plan. And I always say, like, as a teacher, when before we started the school, I taught for 15 years at the Howard School in Atlanta. And my classroom space was very sacred. Like I always put a lot of intention and thought into how I made the space feel. And I just think it's important. And I personally wouldn't want to work in a place that didn't feel, calming and, relaxing to be in. So we all enjoy being here, and it's a great place.
Dr. Annie Jones with the Core Community School, based in Woodstock. Annie, for a lot of viewers, and they don't necessarily live here, do you know of any other schools in any other states that are kind of following the same mantra that Core does?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We've visited a really cool school out in Boulder, Colorado. I'm sure there's lots of cool schools out there, but we visited
Yeah.
the Watershed School. We actually kind of took some of their curriculum design, brought back to our teachers in terms of project-based learning. Yeah, I definitely think out west and up in the Northeast, I think there are a lot of schools that are really have similar philosophies to ours. A lot of our students actually spend some time out west at therapeutic schools, which are boarding schools or over,
Oh,
residential
yeah.
places.
Utah has them all over the place out there.
Yeah. And so a lot of those are doing a great job. There are some that aren't so great, but, and can honestly cause more harm than good. But I think a lot of schools are waking up to the things that matter and, paying attention to the human aspects of this work, because I think that's really where it's at. And it's really the most important piece for our kids to get what they need, for sure.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, because I know parents might be thinking the same thing, if they were looking into an alternative school, but gosh, my kid gets speech and he gets OT and I have to have ABA therapy too, and I do this. Are therapists, because a lot of schools don't allow therapists in, does your school allow therapists to come in and work with the child to make sure that everything, that he or she is getting the most out of their education?
For sure, yeah. We're very flexible about that. We do not have an SLP on staff or an OT, but we do welcome, as long as it works with the schedule and works for everyone. We have a lot of spaces where therapists can take kids and work one-on-one. We even do that with kids, like counselors, like a lot of times if they have outside counseling, they'll come in and do it at the school. Just because I know for the parents, you guys do a lot of running around to get them to all these appointments. So part of our vision is to eventually, hopefully, be able to offer some of those things at the farm and have some of those therapies available there when we're there on Fridays.
We did an episode about paddleboard therapy with Alyssa Walls, and that is working out really, really well for kids across the board, whether they have MS or autism or CP. I mean, it's just amazing what water therapy and aquatic therapy can do for the mind, body, and spirit too. Dr. Annie Jones, the founder and owner of the Core Community School. One more time, how can people get in touch with you, Dr. Annie?
The website is thecoreschool.org, and you'll find our phone number, email, all that good stuff on our website.
And I do believe that it's definitely worth taking a moment to look at all of the different videos that are on the website so that you can get a feel as to whether or not maybe you want to send your child there or ask for a shadow day. If you're watching from abroad and in a different state, maybe you can start Googling to find an alternative school like the Core Community School in your neck of the woods. Again, Dr. Annie Jones, thank you so very much for being on the show. I appreciate your time today.
Oh, thank you so much. This was awesome. And thanks for the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you. We want you to like, comment, share, most of all, subscribe to Life with the Spectrum. As we live life with the spectrum, we're talking to a variety of different people because they're all on the same journey that we are. We want to help. We want to educate. Knowledge is power. And so we appreciate you coming back to spend a little bit more time with Life with the Spectrum. Until next time, we see ya.